Powkiddy just launched the X35H, and the big thing with this is it has a 3.5-inch screen, it's horizontal, and it has Powkiddy OS on here. So let's check this out. Let's see how the operating system is working and what we think of the handheld. Now the big thing is that this is the first handheld that operates on the Powkiddy OS system, so we'll see how that looks. Believe that these are just still Switch style joysticks. I'm checking on the website and I am not seeing that they have changed at all. They feel slightly better. Buttons feel good, rubber membrane connection. The D-pad feels decent. It actually, I like this, I can already say, versus the weird X-Men one, the RGB 10, because that one was sloped in the middle, and this one is just a flat D-pad and with a rubber membrane connection. Start and select are clicky up at the top. Ooh, those are a little here. So the shoulder buttons are micro switch connections, and they are a little clicky, little loud. This might not be something that you're going to it sounds like a really loud mouse click. This might not be something that you're going to jam on in bed. I don't know. Or maybe in a library. Don't play games in a library. Interface. We'll see down at the bottom we have 2 downward firing speakers. We have a reset button, and that is your OS card. There's your games card. In the middle we have a USB-C charging port, and headset jack is over on the side. There's nothing on either side of this device. Shoulder buttons, OTG port up here, and a mini HDMI port, and the power button, and then your volume buttons. So, and then on the back, there really isn't much of anything. It does have a hint of some ergonomics because it's got the curved, the curved sides, and then these are just ever so slightly a bump out. Here we go. Let's take a look at Powkiddy's OS. We got a cute little Powkiddy guy. So here we have the Powkiddy OS, and it looks cute. Pretty simple. Got retro, favorites, last played, search, settings, and that's it. So go into retro. You can see, for whatever reason, there's music. You can put music on here. All the systems. Icons look nice. They're pretty similar from really every other OS that's sort of out there. So it's nothing super new. You can do a search, that's good. And settings, here you can do a gamepad test and do a couple different things. Well, it looks like you can change what you want to see. We have in there. If we hit the start, that will close it. That'll reboot the system, shut it down, so that acts like the power button. And select doesn't do anything. And that's really about it. So the big thing with this device, it's cute, it's little, but this is the first device that has the operating system that Powkiddy just sort of handcrafted. They're calling this the Powkiddy OS. So checking it out, it's not terrible. It does work. It's just very basic. The few callouts that I will say, it's very locked down. You can't change much of anything. You can change a few things. And also, by default, there's a few things turned on. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows about that. The OS, by default, has the aspect ratio on all of the systems set as stretched, which is weird because this is a 4:3 aspect ratio screen. So keep that in mind if you do pick one of these up. You may want to adjust the aspect ratio depending on the system that you are playing. Now, it did look like once you changed it for one of the games, that it was going to change it for all of the games in that system. But when I went back after I closed out of the system, it didn't save the settings. I went back into Atari 2600, for example, and it saved it for that specific game. I went to go play something else, and it didn't save it, which is bizarre. Usually it saves it for the whole system, or at least there is a way of doing that. Another weird thing is that they have some overlays on the games. They're on by default. I couldn't exactly tell what that overlay did, but it just made the games look weird. I'm imagining that it has bilinear filtering maybe turned on, and it makes the games look just a little bit off. Maybe soft, that tends to happen. So definitely, if this bothers you, you might want to turn that setting off as well. And the last one that I definitely saw was that there's shaders. Now, a lot of people might want the shaders on. I just turned them off just to keep it, see how the device ran afterwards. I just wanted to test out the screen and the games and see how they looked afterwards. So I think that one might be fine. All of them actually might be fine for somebody that's maybe just picking this up and they're just looking for a pocket device, because this is a pretty cool little pocket device that you can throw in and jam on your games. So somebody like that, they may not care that much about those settings, but a lot of other people might. So again, take all of that with a grain of salt. With game testing, I am going to just be playing the games that are already preloaded on this device. The reason I do that is that I like to get more of a right out of the box user experience without doing first impressions on one of these handhelds, because it's a budget handheld. Until we get some custom operating system, we'll pause on extra reviews on it. So now the hardware on it, it's actually pretty decent. The D-pad is nice. It's a rubber membrane connection. Even the joysticks feel good. I know that they're just Switch style joysticks, but there's like a little bit of grippiness on the side of them, and I really like that for some reason. They just feel like maybe enhanced in a way. The buttons, they're not like clicky, but they're a little thunky, but they feel good. They really do. Also, big shout out to Lit NXT for sending me this device over for the purpose of the review. They didn't see this beforehand, and no money was exchanged in any way. I'll leave a link to their website below so you can go check that out. It is an affiliate link, and it does help the channel. So thank you again to Lit NXT. They also have free global shipping, and you can use my code RFT10 to get 10% off your order. But all in all, obviously with the 8-bit, 16-bit, everything PlayStation 1 and below is working great. And I didn't really have any issues with it once I turned off all the weird default settings that the Powkiddy OS had on. Dreamcast is playable. I was jamming on Soul Calibur for a good 20 minutes, and it ran really well. And I was testing how a device I just got really into the gameplay, which is good in a way, because then I'm enjoying myself, and that means that it's a decent device. When that happens, at least in my mind, when I really, I'm not stuck on, oh my God, this D-pad sucks or something like that. So that was good. And yes, I won. So that's always a good thing. So slight lags here and there, but I would definitely say that it's playable. I was having a good time with it. So, but big call out is the back of the device got pretty toasty. So definitely keep that in mind. It wasn't burning me by any means, but it definitely, I noticed it. It's definitely noticeable. You may be susceptible to that. If that's something that's a huge concern or you don't like, definitely keep that in mind. So as far as PSP goes, it was working. It was a little more laggy than Dreamcast. Weird thing is that the Powkiddy OS does not give us the ability to go into PPSSPP to possibly change the settings. It didn't give the option of doing that for any of the standalone emulators for any of the higher end systems, the highest systems that are on here. So you can't change the settings. Sometimes on different devices or different operating systems, I'm able to go in and turn on frame skip and turn it up and maybe get a little bit more out of that device if we frame skip on. But this operating system doesn't even give the option to access that emulator, unfortunately. Another thing that is weird, the overlay that has the aspect ratio by default as stretched. So like I mentioned before, that'll look weird for PSP, as you can see. Now you can go into the menu and you can change that to 16:9. So yes, you'll lose a little little bit of the screen real estate on the top and the bottom, but then it looks way better and it's more true to PSP and it's in its original aspect ratio. So you don't get some bizarre looking characters and they're all stretched out and the pixels are all stretched out. So now ports, this is a good and a bad thing all at the same time. By default, ports are on here. However, and this is weird, there's only 2 ports on here and that's what it comes with. Both of those ports, you can see we have Stardew Valley and Shredder's Revenge. Both of those are actually paid games. You need to purchase the license, generally from Steam or somewhere else, and then you put those files in and you can use those ports on different devices. And we just have those ports. So it's not really a great thing. Here we have paid games that are essentially, it's kind of a gray area. I know we're talking about emulation, but with the ports and all that. So, but what's also weird is there's no Portmaster. So not only does this operating system give you a couple paid games, there's only 2, and there's no ability to connect to the actual Portmaster, true Portmaster out there, so you can't even download free-to-play games and access all of that, and that's part of the reason why we do Portmaster. So it's very strange. It was just a little strange. So that's where I'm like, come on, Powkiddy. Come on. So, but all in all, my final thoughts are hardware seems pretty good. I got this a couple days ago. I had a little bit of an accident, as you can see, so kitchen, never mind. Anyway, but that gave me the ability to actually test this out a little bit further, and it's not a bad device. It really isn't. I like how pocketable it is. I threw it in my pocket. I was running errands, and I went in. I'm jamming on some games. Like I said, I played Soul Calibur for a good 20-25 minutes, and that was fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. So the buttons, the hardware itself is good, in my opinion. Again, this is a budget device. I'm not saying this is the greatest thing in the world, but as far as something that you're going to pick up and you want a little cute horizontal pocket device that you don't mind the 3.5 inch screen is good. It's been standard for a while, and I think that it's a decent size for everybody. This is under $100. It's in the budget range. While I'm not a huge fan of the Powkiddy OS, the software itself, that can be fixed, hopefully. So I like the device. I'm hoping for custom firmware. While Powkiddy, I appreciate the attempt that you're doing at your own operating system. I kind of feel like it's Anbernic all over again, at least with me personally. The stock firmware on Anbernic is way better, but in the beginning it was not good. I didn't like it. So that's where I feel like Powkiddy is at. Right at the beginning, this is their first operating system, which I don't know why they decided to do this. It just pair up with one of these custom firmwares. Maybe one day we'll get that. That would be cool, is if we could get right out of the box a device that you get this and you go, oh my gosh, look, it's Newly, or it's Mu OS, or it's some of these even come with Arc OS, and Arc OS is a very well-known custom firmware. So that would be cool. But what's sad is just that with this operating system, there are just a ton of features that are not available to you. You're locked out of going into any of the standalone emulators. You don't have access to the higher systems to go into PS, N64, Dreamcast. You can't go into Mupin. You can't go into Redream or whatever they end up putting on there for Dreamcast and PSP. You can't go into PPSSPP. Why? It's just a bad design, because you can go in there and you can change a lot of settings in there, and you can make those systems where sometimes on these budget devices, you can make them where you can play them a little bit better, some of these games, because not every game is going to play on these budget handhelds, but you can try to limp it along. So again, I keep saying custom firmware. I want custom firmware for this. I think that it would be really cool. It would definitely be a game changer for this device, because I feel like this device, while it's really cool, as far as hardware's not bad, it really isn't. I'm hoping that with the software, it doesn't get thrown to the wayside. So we'll see. Even throw Arc OS on there. I don't know. But So let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the Powkiddy X35H? Are you thinking of picking this one up? What are you waiting for the custom firmware? What custom firmware would you like to see on this device? What do you think would be a good fit? MuOS, Newly, ArcOS, something else? Let me know down in the comments below. But as always, thanks for watching. Stay awesome, everyone, and go play some games.